The Timcast crew has made it back from Nashville, and boy, did we have a blast. We got to hang out with basically everybody. I got to join backstage live, hanging out. It was Andrew Klavan, Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, Jeremy Boring. We did this really cool setup where in the middle of IRL, I get up from the show. There's a remote camera. It plugs into our feed, and then backstage live is on both because I'm on their show. They're my guests. So they're on my show. I'm on their show. We're both each other's guests for this big show, and it was really, really amazing. We even got to do a special episode with Ben Shapiro, which wasn't live. We had to pre-record it, but that went up yesterday with Jonathan Isaac as well, NBA star. Just a really, really great time hanging out there. But something else happened, which is the point of this story. Tim Pool cancels Nashville show after credible death threat against his life surfaces. Yes. This is true, and it's not completely unusual. So I don't have all of the details. It was not my venue, but I'll break it down. We had John Rich, legendary country musician, all around great dude, on the show. And during the show, someone super chatted us saying, "John, are you going to take Tim out in the caddy and, show him around town?" And John was like, "You want to ride in the Cadillac?" And I'm like, yes, sir. Amazing. And then he was like, "Why don't we go down to my venue, Redneck Riviera? We'll jam a little bit." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know if we could do that. Are you sure?" Because I'm sure someone's going to be playing. They'll be booked. And then we're going to boot him off stage. And he's like, we'll throw him a big tip. I'm sure they'll be happy for the break. We'll jam for a little bit. We'll do a show, And I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. So that was the plan. Saturday at 1:30, our plan was to show up to this venue and to hang out on stage. Now, there are some issues there, right? It's not just about me. It's also John Rich. I mean, the dude's a mega celebrity, like a superstar. And so I'm thinking, like, this is going to be crazy. Like, for one, I know our fans are going to want to be there, but John Rich is also going to be there. Like, it's going to be amazing. I really felt it was going to be magical. It was going to be a one-of-a-kind thing where you're just hanging out in downtown Nashville, and you've got this country music superstar. Then you've got the crew from Timcast. We're all playing music and hanging out. That it would have been packed. It would have been incredible. Well, the morning as we were getting ready to make our way we were packing up our gear, getting ready to go out and head to meet up with John. A phone call apparently came in, a direct death threat against me. That's fine. I don't care. I was like, I don't care. Let him. This stuff happens all the time. Guys, there are some deep moral questions pertaining to talking about things like this. And there are a lot of people who are like, don't ever talk about it, ignore it. And I'm just like, that really pisses me off. If this was any other news outlet, any other commentator, any other event, we would be talking about it. I would be talking about it. But because it's about me, I shouldn't. And people say, one of the things is like, you manifested, you keep bringing it up. And I'm like, so if this was Jeremy from the Quartering, and I'm bringing him up specifically, but if like something bad was happening to him, by telling people they're targeting him, I'm making it worse. I don't agree with that. Jeremy covered what happened, and okay, absolutely, because we talk about this stuff, and we should, because it's a huge component in the problems we face right now in the culture war. But I'll get into, I'll mention a little bit about his video and other videos too in a second. But tremendous respect for Jeremy and for him wanting to cover this and all that stuff. So when people tell me I shouldn't, I'm like, I look at it the same way. If something was going to happen to him, I'd definitely be talking about it. But let's go back to what happens with this phone call. I tell him right away, I don't care. Let him come. I get emails all the time. Every so often you'll get an email and it says something threatening, or it's a veiled threat because people try to be careful. We did an event a few years ago and they threatened to burn the theater down. You think I'm exaggerating? Let me see. Here we go. From the Philadelphia Inquirer. After threats and outrage led New Jersey theater to cancel a conference on racism, free speech, advocates meet in Philly. I just think cancel culture is getting completely out of control. Yeah, so we tried to put on an event. It was headlined by Daryl Davis, famed opponent of racism. Just a guy who convinced Klan members to, leave the Klan and give away their robes to him. And he's a black jazz musician. And they threatened to burn the theater down. These things happen all the time. When that happened, I said, F them. We're doing the show. The theater refused. And I said, you can't breach the contract. We warned you about this, and we told you needed security. We planned that a year in advance, almost. And they were like, we're not doing it. We don't care. We'd rather you sue us and we'd rather we lose than deal with the threats of having the theater burned down. So let's go back to Redneck Riviera. I said, they can threaten me. I'm going to do the event. Well, here's the problem. They actually apprehended a guy. He wasn't charged with anything. I don't know too much. And I can't say too much because of what I do know, because there's probably an ongoing investigation. But somebody was actually detained. The police were involved. And it appeared that, at least this is how it's explained to me. And, somebody actually was trying to make an attempt and they were caught early or something happened. I don't know what that means. I honestly, I don't believe it. I've seen what was sent, and I'll just say, like, there was a guy. There was some weird stuff going on, and they believed that someone was plotting something. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with all of that. I don't. What I do know is that once they told me that, I said, well, what's our real risk assessment then? I mean, if the police know about this, they're like, look, man, John especially, he's a good dude. He's just like, you got kids out here in Nashville, man. He tweeted about this a little bit, and I was like, that's it. You're right. It's not about me. I can stand up and pound my chest and be an arrogant, cocky little, prick all I want and be like, I'm going to do a show. I don't care about none of this. And there's going to be a 10-year-old kid walking down the street in downtown Nashville with his parents going to buy an ice cream cone. And if some lunatic storms in and tries doing something, it's not about me. It's about the people who are around me. Which brings us to some of the deeper philosophical questions, because obviously there's concerns that we have here. We do have security. We are armed. We take this all very seriously. And of course, we've been swatted 8 times. We've had the bomb squad deployed, and now this. Here's the fascinating thing. There's people asking questions like, man, why is Tim so hot right now? Like, why is this happening? I'm not. Look, it's a public venue. I have 1 million followers on Twitter. We get millions of views on the podcast. One of the biggest podcasts, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to track podcast metrics, but I'll put it this way. Some of the biggest podcasts on iTunes only get a couple 100,000 views per episode. Timcast IRL gets just over about 100,000 per episode on iTunes. So we're not ranking all that high there, but we get 400 to 500,000 unique viewers per episode in less than 24 hours on YouTube. So we're getting 600 to 700 plus the clips we put up get another million or so. So all in all, we end up getting I think on just that show alone, we end up with around 1 point something. No. Maybe it's 900 to 1 million unique viewers every day on this podcast. So it's certainly big. Getting death threats is normal. All right. The issue is no one tells you it happens. And the truth is, neither do I. When I get threats, when I get emails, I usually just ignore it. I ignore it. What are you going to do? Am I going to be like, guess I can't go to the gas station anymore? No, I'm going to live my life. And you recognize that when you're on the top, I'm not saying I'm on the tippy top, but when you're climbing that mountain, people can look up and they can see you. And I'll put it this way. Imagine there's a mountain. Everybody's trying to climb on top. Not everybody is trying to be the biggest and the best, but they just like climbing. For me, that's what it's like. Every day, I like going out there. I'm building this building. I'm laying the bricks every day. Well, eventually, as I'm making my way up this mountain, there's millions of people out the base of the mountain, many of whom would like to start climbing, many of whom who wouldn't. And they all look up and they see how high I've gotten. Now, when I look down, I see just a large group of people. But on the ground, they can see just me. That means I'm a target. That happens a lot. The reason this story went out is because I had to announce we were canceling the event. I will not take responsibility for what some crazy person does, and I will not ignore the serious nature of what's happening, and I will not keep that from people. There was concern that, as we've been swatted, as we receive death threats, that talking about it will make it worse. I think people have a right to know. I think, as I stated, if it was anyone else, we would be talking it, and so would they. And I think they should. I think we should bring this up. When it came to this event, I had a few options. I could have said, guys, unfortunately, for an undisclosed reason, we have to cancel the event. People would have been very, very upset with me. Many people may still have gone. I could have said, due to a scheduling conflict, the show is canceled. And then people would be really, really upset with me. And I could take that responsibility. I think that's fair. I could say, you know what, they can be mad at me instead of anybody else if it means the safety of many people. However, that isn't the safety of many people. No, what if people end up going to a place where someone threatened me? And I feel bad for John because it's his venue, but that happened. And so I tweeted about it because I think people need to know that there was a serious threat because it's not about me. Even if I don't show up, what if someone else does? What if someone else shows up kind of looking like me and someone's like that? No, I think people should know exactly why it happened and make the appropriate decision for them, that I should not withhold or obfuscate the serious nature of what's going on, especially at a public venue. Now, when it comes to the swattings, when it first happened, it happened live on camera. Well, that I had to be like, okay, that just happened. The next several times it happened, there was like, we're in the show and we're told cops are coming up. Okay, I didn't want to say anything. I wasn't going to bring it up, but here we go. The last time it happened, I tweeted it out and just said, it has zero impact on anything we do. It is a negligible occurrence. We tell the cops show up every time. They do their sweeps. We're good. We also have security. I don't like the idea of living in this world where we hide the realities of the world. Let me show you a story. This is from The Independent. Kim and Khloe Kardashian spark backlash after video alleges they cut lines at Disneyland. Here's what the image says. When the Kardashians cut the line, get the ride to themselves and make us common folk wait and watch them, typical. It seemed like forever. Yes, that was the story. I didn't cover this, but everybody was outraged. The horrible things they were saying about the Kardashians. My friends, let me defend the Kardashians. I think you already know where I'm going with this. I was stupid. I thought that I could go on my show and be like, we are going to be at this venue and we're going to do a show and it's going to be awesome. A free show, meet and greet fans. I thought I could do that. And then sure enough, this is what happened. We had hung out in downtown Nashville. I had gone to some of these venues. We were hanging out at Mellow Mushroom. Awesome. We watched a young performer, I forgot her name, Kaylee something Rose. Sorry, I forgot your name, but watched her perform and I was like, Nashville's awesome. And I was like, I'd love to come out and do this. But you can't announce it on a big show to every person in the world because crazy people will come and hurt you. Kim Kardashian. When this story happened, I understood. Everybody was like, they're so mean cutting the line. Why did they cut the line? Let me break it down for you. Disney probably would not let them in the park unless they were escorted by security and kept away from regular people. When it comes to these venues and threats, we tried putting on a show in 2019 and Antifa threatened to burn the theater down. The theater would not let us do the show. It doesn't matter what we want. I wanted to do it and we did it. We just did it at a casino and the casino laughed. They were like, let them try to breach our security. At a casino ain't going to happen. But it cut our capacity in half and several hundred people were not able to come to the show. Kim Kardashian wants to go on a ride with her kids. She deserves to, right? I know she's super rich, but she should be allowed to go on a ride once. And now it really does suck for the regular people who watch her cut and can't go on the ride because she's using the teacups. Seemed like forever. Seriously, how long is a teacup ride? 5 or 10 minutes? Something like that. Disney probably told her, at Disneyland, any ride you go on has to be secured. We cannot have you near patrons. Why? I will not be sued by Kim Kardashian if a patron attacks her. That's what Disney was probably thinking. She goes to the ride and security says, ma'am, the only way you're going on this ride is if we keep everyone else off because once you're on that ride, we cannot protect you. And Kim Kardashian probably gets death threats 50 to 100 times per day. This is the only way she would actually be able to go on the ride. Perhaps you say then, she shouldn't go on the ride. I lean a little bit in that direction, to be completely honest. I know the life I've chosen. I've accepted the risks. What about everybody else? And therein lies the big problem. What about everybody else? She can't go on the ride at all. She can choose to walk away. And I say I lean a little bit in that direction, right? Imagine she went on this ride and said, I want to go on the ride. I will not keep people out. I accept those risks. And then a crazy person jumps out of their teacup, rushes to attack Kim Kardashian, hurts a child. at Disneyland. Disneyland has security and all that stuff, for sure. But a person need only their fists or a belt or even a shoe. I mean, a shoe is probably not going to hurt someone too bad, but they could seriously hurt a child. What if they get out and cause damage to the ride? You don't know. And therein lies the big challenge. You know, everybody wants to be on top until they realize, you know, the higher up you are, the longer the fall, the easier it is. You know, you're a target. High ground has its advantages, of course, but not when the base, when you're one person surrounded by millions. Certainly you have a high ground advantage. Being rich, you can buy security. You can afford to, go on rides by yourself and things like that. But now you have to. Let's talk about those deep moral conundrums, all right? I want to talk about deep moral conundrums. I want to talk about psychology in happiness. The one piece of advice I got when I was younger, I was hanging out at this event. It's like a campaign fundraiser when I was like 21 or something. And this guy said, don't be famous, just to be rich. Don't make that mistake. Sometimes you don't have a choice. I mean, sometimes like the work you do makes you famous. And if you want to do that work, you will be famous, and with all the risks. Being rich is better. Being rich, you can walk around and nobody knows who you are. I mean, maybe you're wearing really nice shoes and some bad guy sees those nice shoes and says, that guy's rich. You can still hire a bodyguard. But for the most part, anonymity. You can walk into a restaurant, nobody says anything to you. For me, people it must be nice. You know, they run up to you and they say how much they respect you and they love your work. I having cars honk at me, especially in Nashville, for sure. Except when you've got far left extremists who threaten you. So it's pros and cons. You can be rich without being famous. You can be famous without being rich. That's probably the worst of it. High-profile YouTubers who don't make money but are known by everybody, that's a tough life to live. This article from The Cut that I pulled up talks about a classic psychology study on why winning the lottery won't make you happier. They make it really, really simple, okay? It's a long-known story that a lottery winner, 1 year after winning, registers the same level of happiness as a paraplegic 1 year after their accident. And that's truly crazy. And that's why, I think for a lot of people who have contemplated self-harm or anything like that, it's like you can make it through. You really, really can, no matter how bad life is. Because happiness, it really is relative. Now, of course, I'm sure most people would prefer to be rich and content than, seriously injured and content. No, for sure. But to these individuals in their lives, they figure it out. Humans adapt. So the question is it really worth climbing to the top of the mountain? Will you really be happier? The truth is, no, you won't. Seriously, you won't. You won't. I don't wake up every day and think, how can I be famous? There are many circumstances where I turn down going on shows because I don't know if I need more of that. We are working on building up other shows on timcast.com, like Tales from the Inverted World and Pop Culture Crisis. We want to do more shows, but we really need to establish these. And they're original shows that we launched. We didn't go out and buy someone else's presence or show. We just found people that we thought were talented. I don't need to put marketing behind me personally. The show does fantastic. It makes money. I want to put money behind other shows, help other people grow and flourish, kind of spread it around because I would not want to live the way, Tom Cruise has to live. And it's already getting to that point, and it's probably inevitable. I'm as happy as I've been since I was homeless. And that's just the reality. I think about it, what life was like, and I'd walk down the street with a smile on my face and my skateboard because I was always challenging myself. Learning a new trick was all I needed to be like, I did it. No one else mattered. Now, I was like, how do I do it? How do I succeed? The question there was really just like, how do I make a living? How do I survive on this stuff? When I had 5,000 Twitter followers, I was like, wow, I made it. And that was all that mattered. I had food. I was able to travel around and do whatever I want. Incredible. And then from there, it's just you're laying bricks every single day, building that structure that one day leads you to a position where now you're at risk. So at a certain point, I say to myself, maybe we don't need to be more famous. Maybe I don't need to be number one on iTunes. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe we can start focusing on other people and we reach that limit because there's pros and there's cons. But so that's the question of happiness. Now for the deep moral and philosophical questions. I despise the fact that much of the world is kept secret from most people. People are concerned right now. They're like, you got a death threat, Tim? People are saying assassination attempt. A little up there. Okay. I don't know exactly what was going to happen. I wouldn't call it that. I was standing in a parking lot when I got word, and then we got in our car and we left. That was about it. And we went and hung out at John's house. It wasn't like anyone fired at me and I had to hit the deck and we were like, we never even made it to the venue. But there was, it appeared to be based on, I've been sent information. It looks like some kind of attempt was being made. It was really weird, really creepy stuff. But so there's the conflict of people have said, never talk about it, Tim. And I'm just like, maybe that's part of the problem. I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. All of these people who are facing these threats are just like, don't tell anyone it's happening. You don't put it out there. You'll make it worse and all that stuff. And I'm like, maybe, but like we had to announce this event. We had to tell people for their own safety why it was being canceled. Other people are now talking about it. We should address it and explain it. For the Swannings, like, yeah, we're at the point where, I'm keeping count, but now it's like a simple tweet. I'm not going to address it on the show or anything. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to create, silly interpersonal drama or personal drama. But I think what people don't realize is how awful things are, and it's because people won't talk about it. And that's really it. Messages that I've received being like, I can't believe this happened. I hope you're all right. And I'm like, dude, this happens all the time. But it's just this one time we had to announce it because it was a public event. Someone threatened to burn down the theater we were putting an event at. Like, that was more than just a death threat against me. This stuff happens all the time. All the time. It certainly happens to people on the left. Well, I'll tell you what. The left won't shut up about it. And so then Jack Dorsey and the board of Twitter and Facebook bend over backwards, of course, to their political advantage, over these issues. And of course, I've had people publish my address on Twitter and they won't take it down. Many people pointed out, if this threat happened to anybody, say like a mainstream journalist at blue check mark at a major company, they'd be on every night and morning show talking about the serious nature of doing journalism. So as people sit back, as the far left extremists threaten to burn down theaters, and then the news story doesn't get covered, the left just says, see, the left doesn't do anything to the right. The right's always just trying to hurt the left. The reality is crazy people are trying to hurt everybody. The left has their share of serious death threats. It happens. It happens a lot. And so does the right. People on the right are often like, I'm not going to say anything. So what happens is you get a public perception that right-wingers are unhinged and attacking the left. Certainly there are people on the right who do talk about it. And, the right and the left are just hard to understand terms, really. But the liberty faction, I'll call it that. Liberty and the authority, whatever. There are people on the right who get death threats. There are people who are more libertarian-leaning, people like us, that get death threats. And they're told, don't say anything. Don't tell anybody. Because if people find out, you could manifest, you can make it worse. And I'm just like, I'm not going to, this is a show where I explain to people what's going on, where I talk about how what I see, what I think, what I feel. I despise the world in many ways, the structures that we've created. The world is beautiful, but I despise these structures where it's like, things are just that way now. I'm like, I disagree. I look at how these corporations worked with Vice and Fusion. I've been to the offices of BuzzFeed and Vox. I've seen exactly how the machine works, and it's disgusting. It's a terrible machine. I don't want to be a part of that. Now, I have people saying, yeah, but Tim, if you do this, other people are at risk. And I'm like, let this be a message to the people who choose to stand next to me. There's a target on my forehead and my back and my chest and my crotch and my kneecaps and my elbows. You want to stand next to that? You better choose to do that, because I am not going to bow out. When it comes to people who didn't choose to stand next to me, like the innocent people in Nashville, I have no choice. But when they said, at this event, we're going to burn it down, I said, okay, well, this is an event I'm putting on, and there's going to be security. If you want to be there, that's your choice. With Nashville, we didn't have time to set anything up with security. It was just a public event in downtown Nashville, and I was like, I can't do that. If we're going to do an event, we've got to have serious security, barricades, all that stuff. That's tough. It's kind of a crummy way to live, but that's reality. So, I suppose there's the story. Shout out to John Rich. He's amazing. Tim Pool cancels his show. John Rich said, I hate this, but downtown Nashville on a Saturday is absolutely packed. The safety of the people comes first. I don't talk about every threat we get. I don't give away information in that regard that could result in other people being put at risk. In this instance, I had no choice, and we're going to talk about it. I also think sometimes we should, as much as some people might be like, you can never talk about it, don't tell anybody. Sometimes, I think for the most part, I want people to understand how the world works. I did not start doing this job because I wanted to be in a privileged position where I'm safe and protected and that I can be rich. No, I like talking about the things I think of, how I feel, philosophical questions, and the news. Well, all of these things come to a head right now when literally there are stories about me and tons of YouTube videos, and I was trending all weekend. Now people want to hear what I have to say about it, and I'm going to tell them. I don't always talk about every time something bad happens. For the 80th time, I'll say it. Sometimes I will. I feel like I have no choice. I want to change. I want to be the change. I want to change the world. I don't want to be another cog in the machine of dominoes falling over where one day you wake up and say, oh, we have to be a big, blind, mindless corporation that treats its employees like garbage and lies to people for these reasons. I'll tell you guys another truth. There have been circumstances, it's rare, where I've known things about very big cultural stories, but for safety reasons, I can't talk about it. And so that's a reality. I'd love to be like, guys, here's the secret, but seriously, people could get hurt. In this instance, it's myself. I can assume those risks, and I've already warned everybody who works with me over and over again. You know who you're standing next to, and that's who I am. For other people, though, it's not my choice to make. There's the story. I'll leave it there. Assassination attempt. Perhaps that's not unfair. I don't know if I know enough about what happened. So that's basically what I'll say about, I think Jeremy's video said assassination attempt. The intel we have suggested that an attempt was being made. There was a phone call threat. We don't care about those. But then something happened with an individual and they were like, oh, hey, maybe this time it's real. So I just didn't show up downtown. I hung out downtown the week before, had a blast. I love it. Downtown Nashville, so incredible. The next weekend, we were like, we should probably not go there. So things are changing for us over here at Timcast. This is a reality. We've grown so big. We're going to have, check it out. We're going to have secret security, overt security. We have security in three ways. What do we have? Subliminal, liminal, and superliminal. I'm kidding. It's a Simpsons joke. But the idea is there's security you can't see. There's security you can't see. Yep. We have security guards that blend in, and we have, I'm talking about me personally, like going around and stuff. Have to do it. This is how crazy it's become with the bomb squad, 8 swattings, and now this. Why am I so hot? Okay, I'll be fair. 8 swattings is pretty intense. People don't get that stuff. But I'm pretty sure Ben Shapiro gets more threats than I do. He just, for the most part, ignores them. I get a lot more death threats than you realize. For the most part, I just ignore them. This was public. It is what it is. That's who I am. You want to work together? That's how it works. This is reality. I'm not going to lie and hide this. I mean, and think about that too. Imagine if it was like someone wanted me to come to their event, and I was like, yeah, everything will be fine, and don't tell them that these things happen. No, you need security assessments. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.